A thief broke into my house tonight, but somehow I felt lucky, because I had just discovered that something far more valuable had been stolen from me long before this. I pulled into our driveway, the engine humming softly before I shut it off. It was late, much later than I had planned to be home. Originally, I was supposed to be away for another 3 days, but after wrapping up work earlier than expected, I thought I'd surprise my wife. She had been home alone, taking care of everything while I was away. I imagined her waiting for me, maybe curled up on the couch with a glass of wine, unaware that I was about to walk through the door. But the moment I stepped inside, I knew something was wrong. The living room was a disaster. Drawers yanked open, papers scattered across the floor, picture frames knocked over. My heart pounded as I scanned the room. The place had been ransacked. My first thought? A break-in. I rushed to check the valuables. The TV was gone, my laptop, the safe where we kept emergency cash, emptied. Someone had come in and taken everything they could get their hands on. My pulse raced as I tried to process it all. Where was my wife? I grabbed my phone, my fingers fumbling as I dialed her number. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. A cold dread crept down my spine. Had she been here when it happened? Had they taken more than just things? I forced myself to think. If she wasn't home, where would she go? The neighbors? She would have gone next door to the Parkers. They were close, always looking out for each other. If she had been scared, if she had managed to escape, she would have run there first. I stepped outside, crossing the lawn quickly and knocking on their door. No response. The house was dark. Maybe they were asleep, but that didn't seem right. I tried the handle. Unlocked. Something felt off. I stepped inside cautiously, calling out, "Hello? Parker? You guys home?" Nothing. The house was eerily silent, but as I moved down the hall, I heard something. A sound that made my breath catch in my throat. Laughter, muffled, close, coming from the bedroom. My feet felt heavy as I walked toward the door. My heartbeat was so loud I could barely hear myself think. I raised my hand, ready to knock, and then I heard her. My wife. Her voice, light and carefree, laughter spilling from the other side of the door. My fingers hovered midair, inches from knocking. But suddenly I wasn't so sure I wanted to. I stood there, my knuckles hovering just inches from the wood, my body frozen in place. The laughter from the other side of the door felt like a slow knife twisting into my gut. I wanted to be wrong. Maybe she was just visiting. Maybe she and Parker's wife were having a drink, catching up. Maybe I had let my paranoia take over after seeing the house torn apart. But then I heard him. A low voice, a chuckle, a man's laugh. I felt something inside me snap. Without thinking, I pressed my ear closer to the door, my breath shallow. Their voices were muffled, but I could hear the playfulness in their tones, the teasing familiarity. And then I heard her say his name. Stop. Parker, you're terrible. My vision went white hot. It was like someone had punched the air out of my lungs. The same Parker I had been about to ask for help. The same Parker who had stood in my kitchen drinking beer with me, talking about weekend barbecues like we were family. I felt sick. I wanted to kick the door open, to barge in and catch them in the act. But my body wouldn't move. My mind was screaming at me to do something, to react, to stop standing there like a fool. But instead, I just listened. "Your husband's still gone, right?" Parker's voice was lower now, smooth, like this was just another casual conversation. My wife's laughter rang out again, light and effortless. She didn't even hesitate before answering. "Yeah, he won't be back for a few more days." The words hit me harder than a fist. She had no idea I was here. She had no idea I was already back. The betrayal settled over me like a thick fog, suffocating, disorienting. The house, the break-in, all of it suddenly faded into the background. Because the real theft, it wasn't the missing jewelry or the stolen TV. It was my marriage, my trust, my dignity. And the worst part? She didn't even sound guilty. She sounded happy, like this wasn't the first time, like it wouldn't be the last. My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. My hands curled into fists at my sides. I needed to move. I needed to do something. I forced myself to breathe, to think. Barging in wouldn't change what I already knew. I needed proof. I needed to make sure she never got the chance to lie her way out of this. With slow, measured steps, I backed away from the door. My hands were shaking, but I forced myself to stay calm. I pulled my phone from my pocket. turned on the voice recorder, and hit record. I stood there for another 5 minutes, listening, letting them dig their own graves. Then, without making a sound, I turned and walked out in the way I came. I wasn't ready to confront her. Not yet. Because this time I was going to make damn sure she had no way out. I sat in the dark, listening to the sound of her careful footsteps as she slipped into the house. She moved quietly, deliberately, like someone who had done this before, like someone who didn't want to wake a sleeping husband. Too bad I wasn't asleep. I stayed still, watching as she set down her purse, pulled off her shoes, and ran her fingers through her hair. Her phone screen flickered as she checked something, then sighed, stretching like she had just had the longest day, like she had nothing to hide. She didn't know I was here, and I wasn't ready to let her know just yet. I shifted slightly on the couch, making the leather creak beneath me. She sucked in a sharp breath, freezing mid-step. Her head snapped towards me, her eyes wide with something I couldn't quite place. Fear, or guilt, or both. "Oh my God," she gasped, pressing a hand to her chest. "You scared me! What are you doing here?" I let the silence stretch for a few seconds longer than necessary. Let her squirm. Let her wonder if I knew. "I got done early," I said finally, my voice even. "Thought I'd surprise you." She forced out a breathless laugh, stepping toward me. "You should have told me. I would have picked you up." I didn't respond. Instead, I just watched her. And she felt it. The weight of my stare, the way my eyes followed her every movement. She was being observed, and she knew it. She shifted, forcing a smile. "God, I had the worst day. The house... Oh my God, did you see what happened? I came home and..." "Yeah," I cut in. I saw." She exhaled in relief, nodding. "I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I almost called you, but I didn't want to worry you while you were working." Lies. She was too good at it. Too smooth, too rehearsed, like she had practiced it in the mirror before walking through the door. If I hadn't been standing outside Parker's house just hours ago, I might have believed her. Hell, I wanted to believe her. That was the worst part. I wanted her to look me in the eye and tell me something, anything, that would make this all go away. That would make me feel like a paranoid fool, but she didn't. Instead, she walked over, leaned down, and kissed my cheek. "I'm just glad you're home." I forced myself to stay still, to not recoil, to not let her see how her touch felt like poison seeping into my skin. "I missed you," she murmured, her breath warm against my ear, and I almost laughed, because I had heard her say those exact words to another man just hours ago. But still, I said nothing. Not yet, because I wasn't done playing this game. She thought she had gotten away with it. She thought I was still blind, and I was going to let her think that. For now. The days that followed were unbearable. I watched her, studied her, every movement, every glance at her phone, every excuse she made to leave the house. She had no idea that the man she had been lying to for years was no longer playing along. She was careful, too careful. She never left any obvious signs. No suspicious texts left open, no misplaced receipts, no careless mistakes. But she forgot one thing. I knew her. I knew how she operated, how she thought, how she covered her tracks. So I stopped looking for proof the obvious way. I let her show it to me instead. It happened on a Thursday night. She had been distracted all day, tapping away on her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, slipping away for work calls that didn't make sense. I said nothing, just observed. And then, around 6 p.m., she started getting ready. She wasn't dressed up, not in the way you'd expect. No cocktail dress, no heavy perfume. But I noticed the details. The way she changed outfits twice, like she couldn't decide which one made her look effortlessly casual. The way she spent extra time fixing her hair, the way she put on the necklace I bought her last anniversary, the one she never wore around me anymore. She caught me watching her in the mirror and smiled. "I have to run a quick errand," she said easily, slipping on her shoes. "The dry cleaner ruined my blue dress, and they're finally giving me a refund, but I have to go in person. After that, I might stop by my sister's for a little bit. She had a rough week." A refund. Her voice was too casual, too rehearsed, and there was one problem with her story. She didn't own a blue dress. I smiled back, pretending I didn't notice. "That sucks. Want me to go with you?" She laughed, shaking her head. "No, it's just a quick trip. I'll be back in an hour." 1 hour. That's all she thought she needed. She grabbed her purse, kissed my cheek, and walked out the door. I counted to 10. Then I followed her. Tracking her wasn't difficult. She had no reason to be careful. She wasn't expecting me to show up. I trailed behind, staying far enough not to be seen but close enough to keep her in my sights. She didn't go to a dry cleaner. She didn't head toward her sister's house. She drove straight across town to a hotel. I parked a few spaces away, watching as she stepped out of her car. And then I saw him. Parker. My friend, my neighbor. The man who had sat across from me at my dinner table drinking my beer, acting like my brother while he screwed my wife behind my back. She didn't even hesitate when she saw him. She walked right up to him, smiling, leaning in for a kiss. And that was it. No more questions, no more doubt, just undeniable proof. I gripped my phone, my hands shaking as I snapped the photo. One moment, one picture, one final nail in the coffin of our marriage. But I wasn't done yet. No. This wouldn't end with just me knowing. They thought they were safe. They thought I'd never find out. Now I was going to make damn sure they knew otherwise. The silence stretched between us like a blade waiting to drop. My wife was still frozen, her face pale under the streetlights, her eyes darting between me and Parker. I could see the gears turning in her head, scrambling for an escape. Parker, on the other hand? He ran. The second his name left my lips, his survival instincts kicked in. He didn't try to explain himself, didn't throw out some pathetic excuse. He just turned and bolted like a rat fleeing a sinking ship. I didn't stop him, neither did she. We both just watched as he disappeared into the parking lot, leaving her completely alone to deal with the wreckage. Her breath hitched, and she whirled on me. He manipulated me, she blurted out. You don't understand. Parker has been obsessed with me for years. He wouldn't leave me alone. I told him no, but he threatened me. I raised an eyebrow. Threatened you? She nodded frantically, eyes wide with manufactured fear. He said he'd ruin me, that he'd tell you we were sleeping together even though we'd never... She stopped herself, realizing the lie was too ridiculous to believe. She had already been caught on camera, leaning in for a kiss. She pivoted immediately. Okay, fine, I made a mistake, but I was scared. He pressured me, and I didn't know how to say no. I let her words hang in the air for a moment, watching as she stepped toward me, hands trembling, her voice drenched in fake desperation. I love you, she whispered, reaching for me. I was never going to leave you, I swear. You're everything to me. Please, just let me fix this. Her arms wrapped around me, her body pressing into mine, her breath warm against my neck. But I didn't feel warmth. I felt disgust. I pushed her back, harder than necessary. She stumbled, blinking in shock like she couldn't believe I'd rejected her touch. The facade cracked. For a split second I saw it, the real her, the cold, calculating mind behind the fake tears. And then, her gaze flicked to my phone. She changed tactics immediately. Let me see it, she murmured, voice soft but insistent. Just for a second. Let me prove to you I'm telling the truth. I clenched my jaw. Why? Her lip trembled. Because you're seeing it all wrong. I just need to explain. And I can't do that unless I see what you have. Please, baby, please. Baby? I almost laughed. But instead I exhaled slowly, pretending to hesitate. Fine, I said, holding the phone out. Go ahead. She snatched it so fast she nearly dropped it. Her fingers flew across the screen, deleting the recording before I could even react. And then, when she was done, she smiled. Not the sweet, apologetic smile of a guilty wife trying to win her husband back, but the victorious smirk of a woman who thought she had just won the game. She tossed my phone back to me. There, she said, her voice smooth now, almost mocking. No evidence, no proof. So whatever you were thinking of doing next, don't... I stared at her. She shrugged. Listen, we both know you're not going to say anything. You have too much to lose. And besides... She tilted her head, watching me carefully. I have an important job interview next month. You wouldn't want to ruin my future over a misunderstanding, would you? A misunderstanding. She had just wiped away every shred of proof I had, and now she was standing there daring me to fight back, daring me to challenge her. And for a moment, I let her believe I wouldn't. I pocketed my phone, nodded slowly. You're right, I murmured. I wouldn't want to ruin your future. Her smile widened. She thought she had won. She had no idea the game had just begun. I had nothing left to lose. So I started digging. If she was capable of this, what else had she been hiding? Turns out, a lot. It didn't take long. Just a few carefully worded questions, a few harmless conversations with people in her circle. And then I found it. The final nail in her coffin. She had been bragging. To the wrong person. A former coworker of hers, someone who didn't particularly like her, had let something slip during a casual conversation. "You know she slept with one of the senior recruiters, right?" they had said. That's how she secured her job offer before even applying. It was some weird deal. No, one night and she'd have a guaranteed shot at the position. Gross, right? I had smiled politely, nodded, played it off like it was just harmless gossip, but inside, I was burning. Because now, I had something bigger than a failed marriage. I had proof that she was more than just a liar. She was a fraud. And if she thought deleting one recording would save her, she was about to learn just how wrong she was. I sat with the truth burning a hole in my chest. She thought she had won. She thought she had erased the only proof of her betrayal, twisted the story in her favor and backed me into a corner. She thought she had me under control, just like she always had, but this time she was wrong. Because I wasn't just holding on to the past anymore, I had a new weapon now, and I was going to use it. For the next few days, I acted like nothing had changed. I responded to her texts with the same empty affection. I listened when she talked about her job interview, nodding in all the right places. I let her feel safe. And then, the night before her big interview, I made my move. She was sitting on the couch, casually scrolling through her phone, completely unaware of what was coming. I walked in, my own phone in hand, and I pressed play. A voice filled the room. Her voice. It was just one night. That was the deal. One night, and I'd get the job. I mean, what else was I supposed to do? She froze. Her eyes snapped to mine, wide, full of something that wasn't guilt, but fear. Because this wasn't Parker. This wasn't some secret affair she could manipulate her way out of. This was her career, her future, her entire reputation, and I had it in the palm of my hand. She shot up from the couch. Where did you get that?" I smiled, cold, unforgiving. "Turns out, not everyone you brag to is your friend." Her breath came in quick, uneven gasps. She was unraveling. You can't do anything with that," she said, voice shaking but still trying to sound confident. "You have no proof it's real. It's just audio. No one would believe you." I stepped closer. "I don't need them to believe me." I let the words sink in before adding, "I just need them to hear it." And just like that, she cracked. The bravado fell away. The arrogance, the confidence, the smug little smirk that had been permanently fixed on her face since she thought she had gotten away with it, gone. She grabbed my arm, nails digging in. "Please," she whispered, and for the first time in years, it sounded real. Not because she loved me, not because she regretted anything, but because she was afraid. "I'll lose everything," she choked out. "My job, my reputation. You can't—" I pulled my arm away, shaking my head. "You already lost everything." I didn't send the recording to her employer. I didn't need to, because I sent it to the recruiter she had slept with instead. And just like that, the job offer was gone. Her secured position vanished. The man who had guaranteed her a future panicked, scared, desperate to cover his own tracks. She didn't just lose the job. She lost the career path she'd spent years building. And when she realized what had happened, she finally did the one thing I had been waiting for. She begged. For the first time since this all started, she dropped the act completely. No more manipulation, no more fake tears, just pure desperation. "I'll fix this," she whispered, kneeling in front of me, hands gripping my legs. "I can fix this. We can fix this. Just tell me what you want." I leaned down, brushing a strand of hair from her face, and I whispered back, "A divorce." I walked away from the mess she created, from the ashes of a marriage built on lies, deceit, and manipulation. She fought it at first, threatened me, pleaded, swore she'd change, but she couldn't change what was already done. In the end, she wasn't the one who walked away with nothing. She lost her job. She lost Parker. She lost me. And as I signed the divorce papers, walking out of the courtroom free for the first time in years, I realized something. I'd never really lost her, because I'd never truly had her in the first place. I stood outside the courthouse, the crisp air biting against my skin, but I never felt lighter. The divorce was finalized. No drawn-out battles, no second chances, just a clean break from the wreckage of my past. She didn't even look at me as she walked out, her steps hurried, her head low. She had nothing left to say. Parker had disappeared, probably too ashamed or too much of a coward to face the mess he helped create. And as for me, I was free. For the first time in years, I could breathe without wondering what lie I was being fed, without questioning my own reality. I had lost a marriage, but I had gained my peace. And that was worth everything. Betrayal doesn't just destroy relationships, it reveals them. It strips away the illusions, the carefully crafted lies, the pretty words that were never meant to last. It forces you to see a person for who they really are, not who you wanted them to be. My wife thought she could manipulate her way out of anything. She thought control was power. But real power is walking away. Because some people aren't meant to be fought for. Some people aren't meant to be saved. And when you finally stop trying to hold on to something that was never real, that's when you truly win.